he still doesn't know what he's looking at. He still doesn't flip protections. He doesn't know when he's hot. This isn't me saying this. I'm not an NFL. I've never claimed to be an NFL coach. This is people in that building will tell me he still doesn't know how to flip protections. He doesn't know when he's hot. He doesn't know what he's looking at. He can only throw to wide open receivers. He doesn't make tight window throws. He doesn't throw guys open. This is not the answer. These last 2 weeks were the opportunity coming off the Titans game to show that he can be the guy against playoff contenders, and he has not lived up to it. This is not it.
Everything about Shedeur Sanders screams he's the quarterback. But if people are going to negative in April, they're going to be negative now because they're going to be like, where is he ranked? Forget that. Look at the interceptions that were off of Jerry Jeudy, off of Judkin's shoulder. Batted balls like Burrow had one yesterday, batted in a pick six. You blaming Burrow for that? No. You're blaming Shedeur for a couple batted balls that were picked up?
Mel Kiper Jr. just put the Cleveland media on blast, and he did not mince words at all. This was not some soft disagreement, not a harmless difference of opinion, and not a TV segment built for clicks. He flat out accused certain voices in Cleveland of lying about Shedeur Sanders, and he said it clearly, confidently, and on the record.
If you're going to sit there and tell me you weren't impressed with the rookie year of Shedeur Sanders, I would say you weren't watching the same game I was.
That matters because when someone like Kiper speaks, the entire league listens, whether they like it or not. If you have been watching the Browns this season, you already know it has been chaos. Ups and downs, close losses, questionable decisions, and just enough hope to keep fans locked in every Sunday. But what does not always show up on the broadcast is what has been happening off the field.
Everything about Shedeur Sanders screams he's the quarterback. But if people are going to negative in April, they're going to be negative now because they're going to be like, where is he ranked? Forget that. Look at the interceptions that were off of Jerry Jeudy.
Inside the media narratives that shape public opinion. For months now, a consistent storyline has been pushed in Cleveland, and it has not been subtle at all. That storyline says Shedeur Sanders is a disappointment. It says he has not lived up to expectations. It says the Browns should already be thinking about moving on. It says the experiment has failed before it even had a real chance to breathe. But now that entire narrative just took a direct hit from one of the most respected evaluators in football history, and it did not survive the impact. Before we even go deeper, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel right now. Hit that bell so you do not miss anything.
Get them into the right calls. I think he can get them lined up. I think he can complete passes, get the ball out quickly, and keep the chains moving and not turn the ball over. And that's what...
Because moments like this do not happen often. What Mel Kiper just did was one of the strongest public defenses Shedeur Sanders has had all season, and it came from a national voice that has zero reason to protect Cleveland or cater to local agendas. We need to let the algorithm know that people want facts, not hit pieces. And if you are riding with the movement, if you believe in Shedeur Sanders, and if you are tired of the noise, then comment SS 100% right now and make your voice heard. According to Mel Kiper Jr., these local media members are not just being tough or overly critical, they are straight up misrepresenting reality. His point was crystal clear. The talent is undeniable. That talent does not disappear when the weather turns bad. It does not vanish when the offensive line struggles.
Become the first quarterback to make his initial NFL start in one of the international games, Jason Lloyd with his thoughts on Dillon Gabriel.
It does not magically shut off when the pressure ramps up. This kid can play, period. Kiper said that anyone telling you Shedeur Sanders was not good this season is not being honest with you. Let that sink in for a moment. One of the most respected quarterback evaluators in the sport is openly calling out a local media market for twisting facts and stripping away context. This is not a small argument over rankings or draft slots. This is about credibility. This is not debate show noise designed to fill airtime. Kiper made it clear that the story being told about Shedeur Sanders is incomplete by design. He said the context is being erased. He said the positives are being ignored.
Be fair here. So really, when you look at what Shedeur did this year, not having any training camp never with the ones, defense, offense, be thrown out there, playing in brutal weather conditions. I didn't know.
He said the truth is being buried under a pile of negativity that has nothing to do with football and everything to do with narrative control. So what exactly did Kiper say that set everything off? He went straight at the double standards that have followed Shedeur Sanders all season long. He did not deny the mistakes. He did not pretend the interceptions did not happen. He said it plainly. Yes, Shedeur threw picks. Yes, there were rough drives. Yes, there were moments where he looked like what he is, a rookie adjusting to NFL speed and complexity.
I actually think Dillon is going to be competent. I don't think he's going to be a star. I don't think he's not throwing for 300 yards or anything like that. But I do think he's going to get them into the right calls.
But then Kiper asked the question that Cleveland media keeps dodging. How do you destroy a rookie quarterback for turnovers while praising veterans for the same mistakes in the same season? How does that math work? How does that logic hold up under scrutiny? Look at Joe Burrow, for example. Burrow is a proven veteran. He has years in the league, multiple training camps, thousands of first-team reps, an entire system built around him. When he throws interceptions, the media bends over backward to explain it away. It was the offensive line. It was the play call. It was bad protection. It was timing. But when Shedeur Sanders throws an interception, suddenly it is proof he cannot play. Suddenly it is a referendum on his future. Suddenly it is time to talk replacements. That is the hypocrisy Kiper exposed, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And that is why this moment matters so much. Because this was not a fan defending a favorite player. This was not a YouTuber chasing clicks. This was Mel Kiper Jr. standing up and saying, the evaluation process itself has been compromised. And when that happens, the entire conversation changes. When veteran quarterbacks throw interceptions, the excuses come flying immediately. The receiver ran the wrong route. It was tight coverage. The protection broke down. It is never just the quarterback being bad.
But also, Jason Lloyd, we all know him, true hater of Shedeur Sanders, writer for The Athletic, contributor to UCSS on a 2 to 3 times on a week basis with my boy G. Bush. But we all know Jason Lloyd is a hater of Shedeur Sanders.
But when Shedeur Sanders throws a pick as a rookie, in year one, in a brand new system, on a broken offense, the story flips instantly. Suddenly, he is not a franchise quarterback anymore. Suddenly, he is labeled a bust. Suddenly, the Browns need to move on immediately and start over again. That jump makes zero sense, and anyone watching football with a clear eye knows it. That logic does not add up, and the math has never worked. This is a double standard glowing in neon lights, and Mel Kiper Jr. is calling it out for exactly what it is. This is not real football analysis. This is not evaluation. This is bias wrapped in talking points and sold as insight. And here is where the narrative completely falls apart. Shedeur Sanders is a rookie. This is his first season in the NFL. He did not walk into a perfect setup with elite protection, polished weapons, and a patient fan base ready to wait 3 years. That fantasy does not exist in Cleveland. This is the Browns we are talking about, a franchise desperate for answers, a locker room hit with injuries, an offense searching for consistency every single week, a fan base scarred by decades of quarterback heartbreak. The pressure was crushing from day one, and pretending otherwise is dishonest. Mel Kiper laid out the context that local media keeps dodging, and it changes everything. Before the season even started, Shedeur Sanders did not get a single first-team rep, not one. No rhythm with the starters, no chemistry with the offensive line, no timing built with the top receivers, nothing. The Browns essentially threw him into the fire and said, "Here is the ball, good luck." There was no gradual ramp-up, no structured development plan, no steady transition. It was sink or swim from the jump, the hardest possible way to bring along a rookie quarterback. And yet, Shedeur did not just survive. He flashed real brilliance. He showed poise under pressure. He stood tall in collapsing pockets. He made throws that made fans stop scrolling and actually lean forward. He created moments where Browns fans said, "Wait a minute, this might actually be the guy." Those moments matter, even when the box score crowd wants to ignore them. Mel Kiper was high on Shedeur Sanders before the season, and what we have seen on the field has backed that up. That is not hype. That is evaluation aging in real time. This kid did it in some of the worst conditions football can offer. Late season Cleveland weather is brutal. Wind slicing through the stadium, cold cutting through helmets, fingers going numb before halftime. Veteran quarterbacks struggled to complete routine throws in that environment. Shedeur Sanders was still out there firing the ball. He was still standing in the pocket. He was still making plays when the game demanded toughness and belief. That is not accidental, and it is not normal for a rookie. But instead of acknowledging growth, the Cleveland media keeps moving the goalposts. Every time Shedeur does something right, the standard shifts. They downplay it. They twist it. They reframe it until success somehow looks like failure. Nobody represents that pattern more clearly than Jason Lloyd. His coverage is the blueprint for everything Mel Kiper is exposing right now. When Shedeur Sanders was getting 0 first-team reps, Jason Lloyd said nothing. Not one article, not one segment, not one tough question directed at the coaching staff. There was no demand for development. No concern about preparation. No pressure on the organization for mishandling their supposed quarterback of the future. Instead, Lloyd spent the offseason and early part of the season praising Dillon Gabriel, hyping him as a potential answer, framing him as the safer option. That narrative was allowed to grow unchecked, while Shedeur Sanders was left to fight uphill every single week. And that silence matters just as much as the criticism that followed, because you cannot ignore the process, then attack the result. You cannot skip accountability when development is denied, then suddenly act shocked when a rookie makes mistakes. He was pushing that name every single chance he got. Every article, every appearance, every subtle mention, it was Dillon Gabriel this and Dillon Gabriel that. Yet not one time did he ask the most important question of all. When is Shedeur Sanders going to get real reps with the ones? When is the rookie actually going to be developed? Then reality hit hard. Dillon Gabriel failed to seize the job. He could not elevate the offense. He did not provide a spark. He did not steady the ship. And eventually the Browns had no choice but to turn to Shedeur Sanders. And the moment they did, things started changing fast. The kid started stacking wins. He showed real production. He injected life into an offense that looked flat for weeks. He gave the team that energy, confidence, and belief that Gabriel never brought to the huddle. That was not opinion. That was visible on the field every single Sunday. And that is when the switch flipped. Suddenly, Jason Lloyd found his voice, and suddenly it was all negative. Now it is criticism after criticism. Now it is talk about how Shedeur Sanders cannot be QB1 next season. Now it is replacement talk like nothing that came before even matters. He writes as if the circumstances never existed, as if he did not stay silent while the coaching staff buried the rookie on the depth chart, as if he did not ignore the lack of development and preparation. That kind of selective outrage is wild, and the lack of self-awareness is impossible to ignore. This is exactly the type of behavior Mel Kiper Jr. called out on national television. Where was that journalistic energy when it actually mattered? Where was the accountability when Shedeur Sanders was being denied basic development reps? Now that the kid fought through it, now that he made something out of nothing, now that he proved he belongs, suddenly the same voices want to lead the charge to push him out the door. That is not evaluation, that is narrative protection. So let us set the record straight, because somebody has to do it. Shedeur Sanders is the only real hope the Browns have at quarterback right now. That is not fan hype. That is tape-based reality. Look at what he actually did when he finally got a real opportunity. Start with the game against the Las Vegas Raiders. That was his first legitimate shot. He throws his first NFL touchdown. He finishes with 206 passing yards. He manages the game, makes smart decisions, and helps lead the team to a win. The defense dominated, led by elite play up front, but Shedeur did his part. Complementary football won that game, and that still counts in the NFL. Wins are wins, especially for a rookie thrown into chaos. Then came the game that erased any remaining doubt about his ceiling. The matchup against the Tennessee Titans. This was the moment. This was the breakout. Shedeur Sanders dragged Cleveland back into that game almost by himself. 4 touchdown passes, 364 passing yards. Read that again. 4 scores and 364 through the air as a rookie who never got a proper first-team ramp-up. Those are elite numbers. Those are top-tier quarterback stats. If Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, or Josh Allen put up that line, ESPN runs it all week. They call it a masterpiece. They slow down every throw. They praise the anticipation, the arm talent, the toughness. But when Shedeur Sanders does it, the local media looks for ways to downplay it. And let us be clear, this was not empty yardage in garbage time. These were meaningful drives. These were clutch throws. These were impact plays that kept Cleveland alive in a real NFL game. The touchdowns were not flukes. They came from correct reads, confident decisions, accurate balls under pressure, the kind of quarterbacking traits teams spend years searching for. So what exactly are the critics watching? Are these numbers invisible to them? Are they tuned into a different broadcast? Or are they so locked into their narrative that admitting they were wrong feels impossible? Mel Kiper is absolutely right. The hate will continue, but Shedeur Sanders will keep getting better. That is what rookie quarterbacks do when they are allowed to grow. This is the part the Cleveland media keeps ignoring. Rookie quarterbacks develop. They learn from interceptions. They adjust to speed. They sharpen decision-making. Every great quarterback fans love went through a season where mistakes piled up before greatness followed. This is part of the learning curve, and football history backs that up every single time. Rookie quarterbacks struggle, they make mistakes, and they learn the hard way. Peyton Manning set the rookie record for interceptions, and nobody pretended he was a failure. Troy Aikman looked completely lost his first season, and Dallas did not panic. It happens, and it has always happened. The difference is simple and impossible to ignore. Those cities allowed their quarterbacks to grow. They showed patience. They understood development is not linear. In Cleveland, they are trying to cut the cord before Shedeur Sanders even gets a full season of starts. That alone should tell you everything you need to know about how broken this coverage has been. The fact that Mel Kiper Jr. felt the need to step in and say this publicly is massive. This is not some young analyst chasing attention. This is a man who has done this for decades. Kiper has evaluated every type of prospect imaginable. He has seen every kind of media market, from patient to ruthless. And even with all that experience, he still singled out Cleveland for how they have handled Shedeur Sanders. That is not noise. That is not exaggeration. That is a warning sign flashing bright red. It is a warning that if Cleveland runs this kid out of town, they are going to regret it deeply. They are going to watch him land somewhere else with structure, patience, and support, and slowly turn into the quarterback they desperately needed. And while that happens, Cleveland will still be searching. Another draft, another reset, another next guy, another 10 years of asking how it all went wrong. Browns fans have seen this movie too many times, and the ending is always the same when impatience wins. So the next time you hear a local voice tear down Shedeur Sanders' season, stop and ask yourself a simple question. Are they telling you the whole story? Are they giving you the context of 0 first-team reps? Are they acknowledging the brutal weather? Are they accounting for the rookie learning curve? Or are they doing exactly what Mel Kiper warned about? Are they choosing to misrepresent reality because admitting they might be wrong is harder than doubling down? Are they more interested in protecting past takes than recognizing growth happening right in front of them? Because the truth is not hard to find. The tape does not lie. The throws are on film. The pocket presence is on film. The toughness is on film. The growth from week to week is visible if you actually want to see it. The stats do not lie either. When Shedeur Sanders got real opportunities, he produced. When the game was on the line, he responded. When conditions were ugly, he competed. That is not luck, and it is not coincidence. And Mel Kiper is certainly not lying. He put his credibility behind this for a reason. He sees what is happening, and he knows how this story usually ends when a city turns on a young quarterback too early. Shedeur Sanders is the truth, whether people are ready to admit it or not. Cleveland has something real here, something fragile, and something that needs patience instead of panic. If they handle this the right way, it can finally change the trajectory of this franchise. If they do not, the regret will be loud and long-lasting. That is going to do it for this breakdown, but this conversation is far from over. We are going to keep tracking this battle between truth and narrative every step of the way. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because we do not let these stories slide. We bring real analysis every single day, without agendas and without fear. And do not forget to drop that SS 100% in the comments if you are standing with Shedeur Sanders and riding with the truth until the very end.